Welcome to TJ Teaches AI, the podcast where we break down the latest AI technology, tools, trends, and real-world opportunities shaping the future. In this episode, we talk about Google Omni and the future of AI video creation. AI is moving fast, and tools like this are changing how creators, entrepreneurs, filmmakers, and businesses make content. If you want to stay ahead of the AI revolution, subscribe to TJ Teaches AI on YouTube for weekly podcasts, AI tool reviews, creator tips, and updates on the newest AI technology. New episodes every week. Subscribe now and learn how to use AI before the world catches up.
You know, it really feels like the tectonic plates of the entire creative industry are shifting again right under our feet.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we spent the last couple of years being totally amazed that an algorithm could generate, a slightly warped video of a dog running across a beach.
Right, with six legs.
Exactly. 6 legs, blurry face. But now we're looking at systems that function more like full-blown reality engines, which is just wild.
It is. Moving from that kind of novelty to practical application is always the hardest jump for any new technology.
Yeah.
But we are finally crossing that bridge with generative video.
Yeah, and for you listening right now, whether you are a filmmaker, a marketer, or honestly just someone trying to wrap your head around where media is going, we have a very specific mission for this deep dive.
You do, yeah.
We've pulled together a massive stack of sources. We have Google DeepMind's official technical documentation. We've analyzed hours of in-depth creator tutorials, and we are unpacking the actual workflows being used by agencies on the ground today.
Which is where the real magic is happening, by the way.
Totally. The goal here is to take you from thinking, oh, AI video is a neat little magic trick, to walking away with the exact step-by-step playbook to build a cinematic, consistent film from scratch.
It's a completely different mindset.
It really is. Let's set the stage with a quick analogy just to understand where we've been. If you look at older video AI models, like even the ones from 6 months ago, using them was essentially like walking up to a slot machine.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
Right. You write your prompt, you pull the lever, the wheels spin, and you just sort of hope for the best.
And usually you lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If the video comes out beautifully, but say the main character's jacket is red instead of blue, you can't just tweak the jacket.
No, you have to throw the entire video in the trash.
Yep. Put another coin in the machine, pull the lever again, and pray that the next generation gets the jacket right without, totally messing up the face or the background.
Which it almost always does. It
Yeah.
messes something else up.
Always. But Gemini Omni is a complete departure from that. It's much more like working with a digital sculptor.
Right.
You give it a block of clay, it makes a base structure, and then you just stand next to it and say, actually make the nose a little sharper, or change the lighting to sunset.
And it just adjusts the clay step by step.
Exactly, without destroying the foundation you've already built.
Which represents a fundamental shift in how we actually interact with machines. Like, we are no longer throwing requests over a brick wall and just hoping for a good result.
Right.
We are entering this era of continuous multimodal synthesis. We're moving from generating isolated random clips to architecting persistent digital realities,
Yeah.
where characters, physics, and environments, they remain perfectly consistent across an entire project.
So, how did we actually get here? Let's step into the engine room for a second. Up until recently, Google's big video model was VO, right?
Yes, VO.
And VO was a specialized text-to-video model. You give it text, it gives you an independent clip. But our sources define Omni as a multimodal model.
Which is a crucial distinction.
Yeah, for the listener who might be getting lost in all the AI jargon, multimodal simply means the AI doesn't just read text. It can simultaneously process text, images, audio, and video all at once, and use all of them to create a connected output.
Right, and to really understand the mechanical leap Omni represents, we have to look back at image generation for a minute.
Okay, lay it on me.
So Google developed an image model called Nano Banana.
Great name, by the way.
I know, right? But its defining feature was conversational editing. Instead of prompting an image and starting completely over if it wasn't perfect, you could literally just chat with the AI to refine specific elements within that existing image.
So you could just say, make the sky bluer, and it wouldn't change the car in the foreground.
Exactly. And the engineering team behind Omni explicitly describes it as bringing that exact nano banana capability to video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have taken that iterative conversational control and applied it across the dimensions of time and motion.
But the documentation emphasizes that Omni isn't just like a smarter pixel editor. It combines deep world knowledge spanning history, biology, cultural context with a really intuitive understanding of Physics.
Yes, actual physics. We're talking gravity, kinetic energy, fluid dynamics.
The distinction between predicting pixels and simulating physics is crazy to me.
It is crucial because older models would generate a video of, say, a bouncy ball or a marble rolling down a slanted track by essentially asking a statistical question.
Like, what does a bouncy ball usually look like?
Right, like, based on the millions of videos I've seen, what color should the pixels be in the next frame to look like a rolling marble?
Right.
But Omni, however, calculates the actual kinetic energy. It calculates the friction of the track. When it generates water splashing, it is mapping fluid dynamics in real time.
It simulates the state of the objects, their materials, and their environment. Let me bring up an incredible example from the sources that proves this isn't just visual guesswork.
Oh, the biology one.
Yeah, the hippocampus example. The model's biological and historical knowledge allows it to synthesize entirely new concepts logically. You don't just ask it to render a brain.
That would be too easy.
Right. So a user asked Omni to generate a stop-motion skeuomorphism explainer video of the human hippocampus.
Which is a mouthful.
It is. Skeuomorphism, for anyone unfamiliar, is a design concept where digital or artificial items mimic their real-world counterparts. Think of, like, a digital calendar app that looks like real stitched leather and paper.
Right, exactly.
The user gave the AI strict constraints. Don't add seahorses and don't add text. And the model just built it. It literally created an educational, biologically accurate stop-motion animation using physical-looking materials.
See, the inclusion of the no seahorses constraint is such a fascinating stress test of the model's reasoning.
Why is that? I mean, I know what a seahorse is, but...
Because the hippocampus is actually named after the Greek word for seahorse because of its shape.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So by telling the AI to exclude seahorses, the prompter is verifying that the AI isn't just relying on loose semantic word associations from its training data.
It can't just cheat by throwing in sea life.
Exactly. It has to actually understand the real anatomy of the human brain, map that anatomy to a physical design aesthetic, and adhere to a negative constraint simultaneously.
That is wild.
Another test case in the documentation showed an accurate claimation of protein folding, specifically requesting that no human hands be visible molding the clay.
Right, because usually claymation implies an animator's hands might, like, pop into the frame for a split second. The AI reasoned through the actual science of protein folding, applied the visual texture of clay, and synthesized the two seamlessly.
It's basically doing a science project on its own.
But to truly grasp the step-by-step editing power we talked about earlier, I really want to walk you through what DeepMind calls the mirror example.
Yeah, this is the best one.
This is where the digital sculptor analogy really comes to life. So, step 1. A user prompts for a simple video of a person touching a mirror. Just a scanner generation.
Pretty basic.
But in step 2, instead of writing a new prompt from scratch, they tell Omni, when the person touches the mirror, make the mirror ripple beautifully like liquid, and the person's arm turns into reflective mirror material.
And this is where the underlying spatial mapping is truly tested.
Because it has to separate the objects.
Yes. To make the mirror ripple while the arm turns reflective, the AI has to mathematically segment the environment. It has to know exactly where the boundary of the arm ends and the glass of the mirror begins.
Right.
And it must calculate how light would bounce off both of those brand new surfaces without altering the rest of the room.
And it updates flawlessly. Then the user pushes it even further. Step 3. Transform the person into a detailed monochrome line art drawing.
Still keeping the motion identical.
Exactly. Step 4. Transform the person into a cute, felted, stuffed puppet version with large, googly eyes. Step 5. Turn the entire environment into 3D voxel art, which is essentially 3D pixel art like Minecraft.
Right.
Finally, step 6. Transform the person into a vintage monochrome transparent 3D hologram inside of a 3D holodeck.
It's just showing off at that point.
Completely showing off.
Right.
Through all 6 drastic visual transformations, the core action, a hand reaching out to touch a surface, remains perfectly consistent. The timing doesn't drift. The spatial geography of the room holds.
Maintaining that spatial integrity while converting an aesthetic from photorealism to voxel art to a hologram, it requires a profound structural understanding.
Yeah.
It implies the model is maintaining a complex, multi-dimensional map of the scene in its actual memory, and it's manipulating only the specific variables requested by the user.
Okay, wait. I need to pause here because this brings up a massive question for me.
Go for it.
If this model is calculating light bouncing off a newly generated mirror arm, and it knows the gravity of a rolling marble, and it can map the 3D topology of a room to convert it into Minecraft blocks. Is it even generating a video in the traditional sense anymore?
That's the million-dollar question.
Or is Google Omni basically running a real-time miniaturized physics simulation of a world inside its neural network, and we're just asking it to point a digital camera at that simulation?
That framing really gets to the heart of what multimodal architecture actually achieves. In many respects, yes, it is simulating a world state. Video generation used to be this sort of surface-level illusion, just manipulating 2D pixels over time to trick our eyes. Omni is moving closer to true state prediction.
So it knows what the object actually is.
Exactly. It simulates the underlying properties of the objects, their mass, their material, how light interacts with them in a 3D space. The MP4 video file you eventually download is merely a 2D rendering of that internal, multidimensional simulation.
That is just, it's hard to wrap your head around. But if it's running a full simulation, how does a normal person without a computer science degree actually communicate with it?
You don't want to type in physics equation.
No. How do we tell the simulation what to do? That brings us to one of the most mind-bending features in our sources, the ability to sync and reference anything.
Yes.
Historically, AI video models have failed miserably at two specific tasks: spelling words correctly and syncing actions to an audio track.
They were notoriously bad at audio.
Terrible. Omni shatters those limitations by perfectly syncing text with on-screen action and reacting dynamically to audio beats.
The reference anything capability is arguably the most disruptive tool for an actual production workflow.
Let's break down those mechanics.
Okay, so in traditional visual effects, combining different elements requires tedious rotoscope, tracing objects frame by frame in complex motion tracking.
It takes days.
Days or weeks. With Omni, you can feed the model an extreme distorted camera movement from a random video clip. Let's just call it video A.
Okay.
Then you provide a static image of a character from an entirely different source, image B. Finally, you upload an audio track.
So 3 totally disconnected assets.
Yes. You then instruct the model to create a scene featuring the character from image B walking perfectly in sync with the beat of the audio track, while the virtual camera mimics the exact distorted motion from video A.
And it just pieces it all together. It completely eliminates the blank page problem. You don't have to sit at your keyboard sweating over a 400-word prompt trying to mathematically describe a complex dolly zoom or the specific swagger of a character's walk.
No, you just show the AI a rough sketch or a reference clip and say, combine the feeling of this motion with the look of that image.
It shifts the bottleneck of production, doesn't it?
Absolutely. From technical execution to creative curation, your vocabulary no longer limits your directorial ambition. Your ability to gather and combine references becomes your primary tool.
Let's look at how Omni handles text syncing, because the examples from the DeepMind lab are wild. Imagine generating an alphabet video for kids.
The classic use case.
The prompt asks for unusual items, starting with each letter. So a capybara for C, a disco globe for D, a lava lamp for L, but the user gets highly specific. They instruct the AI that each item must appear on screen for roughly 9 frames, running at 24 frames per second.
Which is very precise timing.
Very. And simultaneously, a handwritten paper note displaying the corresponding letter has to lower into the frame perfectly in sync with the appearance of the object.
And the model executes this by understanding real temporal pacing. It isn't just hallucinating random frames until it guesses right. It calculates the actual mathematics of frame rates.
It does math while drawing.
Yes. It understands that 9 frames at 24 frames per second is precisely 0.375 seconds of screen time. Traditional video editors spend years mastering that kind of rhythmic, cut-to-the-frame pacing, and the model internalizes it natively.
And the text generation itself is flawless, too. The sources showed a kinetic typography sizzle reel, where words appeared on screen one by one, perfectly paced to a fast drum beat. Every single word was spelled correctly.
We have those weird alien hieroglyphs older AI used to generate.
Exactly. But the audio sync examples are what really caught my attention. There's a video of a dark apartment building at night. The user uploaded a heavy, rhythmic music track and prompted Omni to make the lights in the apartment windows turn on in sync with the music.
I love this one.
As the beat drops, the windows light up across the facade perfectly to the rhythm.
Consider the cross-modal reasoning required there. The AI must first analyze the audio waveform to identify the transients, the sudden spikes in acoustic energy that represent the beats.
It's literally listening to the song.
It is. It then maps those temporal markers onto specific spatial coordinates within the generated video, the individual windows. Finally, it alters the state of those coordinates from unlit to lit at the exact millisecond the transient occurs.
It is translating acoustic data into spatial lighting commands. That is unbelievable.
And they took that even further with another audio example.
A fern leaves.
Yes, the fern leaves. A user is running their hand through a cluster of fern leaves in a video. They tell Omni to generate the sound of a harp string being plucked every single time a leaf is physically touched by a finger.
So it has to track the collision.
Exactly. But they also tell the AI to visually change the leaves into bioluminescent plants that attract glowing fireflies in time with the music it's creating.
Wait, so the model maps the physical contact point in the video to generate the audio and then uses that newly generated audio cue to update the visual aesthetic of the simulation?
Yes. It's an endless feedback loop of cross-modal creativity.
But my absolute favorite reference example is the motion transfer.
The decoupling of the whale's motion.
Yes, the whale. The user uploads a beautiful video of a whale swimming gracefully through the ocean. Then they upload a separate still image of a weird, fluid, highly reflective metallic material.
Just a blob of metal.
Just a blob. The prompt asks Omni to take the swimming motion of the whale and apply it to the reflective material without actually showing a whale or any water.
Right.
The result is this abstract, shifting, liquid metal shape that undulates with the exact biological rhythm of a swimming whale.
This represents a profound abstraction of motion. The AI is capable of mathematically separating the vector of movement from the physical identity of the object.
It removes the whaleness from the swimming.
Exactly. It understands swimming not as a whale moving its tail, but as a series of specific spatial displacements over time. It isolates that mathematical formula and applies it to the geometry of the fluid material.
And it works for hand-drawn sketches, too, the sketched reality workflow.
Oh, this is going to change pre-production forever.
You can draw a really crude, terrible doodle of a flying machine on a napkin. You upload that doodle along with a video of your open hand just hovering there. You tell Omni to turn the doodle into a photorealistic 3D rendering and make it hover over your hand using the original sketch purely as a guide for how it should move and tilt.
And instantly, you have a Hollywood-grade CGI drone hovering over your palm,
reacting to the lighting in your actual room.
The storyboarding and pre-visualization process for film and marketing is going to be unrecognizable in a year.
Unrecognizable.
A director can roughly sketch a blocking sequence on an iPad, and the AI will generate a photorealistic lighted prototype of that sequence in minutes.
I have to push back here, though. I mean, we are looking at a system where I can upload a napkin sketch, drop in a stock audio track, ask it to make the lighting look like a David Fincher movie, and get a cinematic masterpiece back. If the AI is calculating the physics, mapping the lighting, syncing the audio, and rendering the 3D objects, does the human prompter even need to be creative anymore? Or are we just pressing a very sophisticated make art button and taking all the credit?
That is the central philosophical tension of this whole new era. I would argue that the nature of creativity isn't disappearing. It is just shifting up the stack.
What do you mean by shifting up the stack?
The execution, the laborious technical heavy lifting of rendering light, modeling 3D geometry, rotoscoping, and keyframing motion, that is being commoditized by the algorithm. But the vision remains deeply human.
So the why instead of the how.
Exactly. Deciding to combine the specific biological rhythm of a whale with an abstract metallic fluid to evoke a specific emotion that requires a human perspective. Creativity is moving from the realm of manual execution to the realm of conceptual curation and strategic intent.
Conceptual curation. I really like that phrase. You are the architect, not the bricklayer.
So
But if we move out of the theoretical engine room, how does a regular consumer actually get their hands on this? Because I assume this isn't just locked behind lines of Python code in some Google server room.
No, not at all.
This brings us to the consumer experience, specifically avatars and the Gemini app.
Correct. Google has integrated this power directly into the Gemini app ecosystem. It is worth noting for the listener, though, that currently, accessing these high-end video generation features requires a Pro, Plus, or Ultra subscription tier.
Although they are rolling out free access for YouTube Shorts creators pretty soon, right?
Yes, that's on the immediate roadmap.
The onboarding process for this is fascinating. Users can create a highly personalized avatar of themselves right in the app. The setup involves looking at your phone camera, slowly moving your head around to capture different angles, and reading a sequence of numbers out loud.
which is a very specific choice.
It actually reminded me a lot of what OpenAI was testing with their Sora tool before they halted that specific feature.
The methodology behind reading numbers is quite clever, actually. By capturing your face from multiple angles while you read numbers, the system forces your mouth to form various phonetic shapes, vowels, hard consonants, labial sounds.
So it's learning how you talk.
It builds a robust, multi-dimensional digital twin mapped to your specific vocal topology. That allows the AI to seamlessly insert you into any generated environment and make you speak naturally.
Once your avatar is locked in, you become the star of your own digital sandbox. And you don't even have to write complex prompts to get started. Gemini has these built-in one-click templates.
The templates are great.
There's one called Metallic that turns your entire body into a moving liquid metal being, like the T-1000 in Terminator. There's Meme Me for quirky, exaggerated facial reactions.
And Indie Pastel.
My favorite, Indie Pastel basically forces everything into a highly symmetrical, quirky, Wes Anderson-style aesthetic with these beautiful muted colors.
Templates are a brilliant user experience choice. They drastically lower the barrier to entry. Most users do not know the technical terminology for film stock, focal length, or color grading.
They just want a specific vibe.
Exactly. By clicking Indie Pastel, the user triggers a massive, complex, under-the-hood prompt engineered by Google to apply those specific cinematic parameters to their avatar.
The creator tutorials we analyzed showed just how convincing this sandbox can be. One user generated a video of themselves using their digital avatar, wearing a tailored suit, sitting at a fancy restaurant and eating a plate of spaghetti.
Which used to be the hardest thing for AI to do, eating spaghetti.
Will Smith eating spaghetti is a legendary AI meme at this point, but this looked incredibly real. The way the fork pierced the pasta, the ambient lighting reflecting off the wine glasses. In the very next prompt, they generated their avatar as a college professor, standing in front of a chalkboard, writing out and teaching the Schrödinger equation.
This loops back to the conversational editing power we discussed earlier. The user isn't just generating static, disposable clips. They can continually refine them.
Exactly. There was a perfect example of this iterative editing in action. A user generated a 10-second video of themselves running through a highly detailed, futuristic, solar punk city.
Lots of greenery and glass.
Yeah, it looks cinematic, but they decided the green vest their avatar was wearing blended in too much with the background. In the old days of AI, you'd have to regenerate the whole video and hope the city in your face still looked the same.
Wish they wouldn't.
Nope. But with Omni inside the Gemini app, the user literally just typed, "Change the vest color to blue." That's it. Omni isolated the vest, tracked it perfectly as the character ran, and the lighting shifted across the 10-second clip, changed the color to blue, and left every single other pixel in the video completely untouched.
The segmentation capability there is what makes it a usable tool rather than just a toy. The model understands the semantic boundary of a vest while it is in motion, under shifting lighting conditions.
It's mind-blowing.
It can alter its intrinsic properties without bleeding the new color onto the background or the character's skin.
It even works with real-world footage. You don't have to generate the base video at all. A user uploaded actual dashboard camera footage of their daily commute driving through a quiet mountain pass.
I saw this one.
They asked Omni to make it look like there's an active volcano in the background. Omni flawlessly tracked a massive smoking volcano into the real footage. The smoke matched the ambient lighting of the sky, the scale was perfect as the car moved forward, and it completely matched the visual fidelity of the dash cam.
This effectively democratizes high-end visual effects compositing. What used to require a team of VFX artists, days of rotoscoping, 3D tracking, and atmospheric blending can now be accomplished by anyone with a smartphone in a matter of seconds.
Okay, I have to push back here, though. It is incredibly cool to have a Hollywood green screen studio in your pocket. Adding a volcano to my commute is a fun trick, but what if I want to make an actual short film? Not a 10-second clip of me eating spaghetti, but a narrative. I need hard cuts, recurring locations, multiple actors interacting, and a real storyline. A single prompt in the Gemini app isn't going to direct an entire movie for me.
You are identifying the exact limitation of the casual consumer application.
Okay, so where do the pros go?
The Gemini app is designed to be a frictionless sandbox. When you need to build complex narratives with continuity across multiple scenes, you must transition to the professional suite. This is where Google Flow comes in.
Which perfectly transitions us into the core of how businesses and creators are actually going to use this. Let's look at Google Flow and the agent workflow.
This is the industry game changer.
We are going to examine the Cartier ad example from our sources because this is where the real disruption of the advertising and film industry happens. Google Flow is a dedicated creative studio built entirely on top of the Omni model.
And it looks very different from Gemini.
Very. When you open it up, it doesn't look like a chat box. It looks like professional editing software. You have a tab for assets, a tab for characters, a multi-track scene timeline at the bottom, and a dedicated tools section.
The economics of Google Flow dictate how users interact with it. Every user is given a baseline of 1,000 credits specifically for video generation.
That processing power roughly equates to the ability to generate a high-quality 60-second advertisement, right?
Yes. However, Google made a highly strategic decision. They offer infinite free credits for image generation within the platform.
That free image generation isn't just a perk, it is the entire foundation of how you build a film. But the wildest feature of Google Flow is the agent.
It's like having a code director.
Exactly. This is an AI creative director that lives inside the software. Instead of trying to write complex prompts directly onto the timeline, you talk to the agent in plain English, and it plans, structures, and generates the project for you.
The agent is programmed to enforce what I call the golden rule of consistency. This is the most critical concept for anyone attempting to make long-form generative media.
The golden rule. I like that.
If you want a cohesive film, you cannot generate the entire sequence simultaneously. If you write a prompt asking for 6 different shots of a panther running through a library all at once, the AI will hallucinate 6 slightly different panthers in 6 slightly different libraries.
Right. The spots on the panther will change, the bookshelves will move around, and the illusion of a continuous film completely breaks.
Precisely. You must follow a strict sequential hierarchy. First, lock the character. Second, lock the location. Only then do you generate the shots.
And the agent forces you to do this.
The agent prevents the user from wasting their limited video credits by forcing them to confirm each of these steps using the free image generation first.
Let's walk through the Cartier Panther campaign from the sources to see this in action. A user logs into Google Flow and gives the agent a simple creative brief. Create a 75-second luxury jewelry film inspired by Cartier. I want a panther cub exploring an empty, grand library and discovering a glowing jewelry box. Give me a 6-shot storyboard.
Notice that the user isn't using any technical jargon there. They are providing the emotional and narrative intent.
Exactly. The agent takes that brief and responds with a full text-based 6-shot storyboard, titling it The Midnight Cub. It defines the specific lighting, the camera angles for each shot, the pacing, but it does not start generating video.
Not yet.
First, it uses Nano Banana 2 to generate still images of the panther cub. It presents the user with 2 distinct options. The user likes elements of both, so they ask the AI to blend the aesthetics of the 2 cubs together, upscale the result to 2K resolution, and LOCK it as an asset.
Step 1 is complete. The protagonist's physical geometry and texture are permanently locked into the system's memory.
Next, the agent generates images of the location. A grand Parisian library lit by warm, moody lamplight. The user reviews the image, approves the layout of the room, and locks it. Step 2 complete.
And now comes the crucial verification phase. Before spending a single video credit, the agent generates a 6-panel storyboard image grid.
This part is so smart.
It places the exact locked Panther Cub asset into the exact locked library asset, rendering them across 6 distinct cinematic camera angles representing the proposed shots.
It is brilliant. The user can review the entire visual flow of the commercial before anything moves. Once the user approves that storyboard grid, the agent finally processes the moving video clips and drops them automatically onto the timeline.
And because of that meticulous locked preparation, the panther looks identical in a wide shot in scene 1 and a massive close-up in scene 6.
It feels like a cohesive film shot with a real camera on a real set. And if you want to tweak something, underneath every clip on the timeline is a little text box. You can just type, make the camera push in a little slower, and it updates the specific clip without losing the consistency.
You are no longer operating the machinery of production. You are directing the operator. You are managing a virtual crew that executes your intent flawlessly, provided you follow the procedural logic of locking your assets.
If someone is listening and feeling overwhelmed by the idea of managing all these assets and agents, Flow actually has a built-in cheat code.
Flow TV?
Yes. On the homepage, there is a feature called Flow TV. You can scroll through a feed of incredible short films and commercials made by other creators. But sitting right underneath every single video is the exact, unredacted prompt they used to make it. You can literally click Remix and use their exact parameters for your own project.
Flow TV accelerates the learning curve exponentially. Instead of spending hours in trial and error trying to figure out how to make a scene look like a moody cyberpunk alleyway on 16mm film, you can find a creator who already perfected that look.
You just steal their settings.
You copy their precise parameters and reverse engineer their success. It's an open source masterclass in prompt engineering.
But the agent and Flow TV are really designed to hold your hand. What happens when an experienced director or an ad agency wants manual, granular control over every single frame? They don't want the AI making creative decisions for them.
They want full control.
Right. That brings us to manual control and the ability to build reusable assets. Let's look at the Cadbury ad example from the sources.
By bypassing the agent, professional users gain direct access to the Characters tab. This is where Google Flow transcends being just a video generator and becomes a persistent virtual studio.
You can build highly specific, reusable human characters and, crucially, assign them permanent, distinct voices.
This is huge for brand consistency. Let's say you're an ad agency working on a campaign for a chocolate brand. You can go into Flow and manually prompt, I need a photorealistic 8-year-old child with soft freckles on a sunlit doorstep and an elderly neighbor wearing a knitted cardigan.
The AI generates them as high-resolution images. You save them to your permanent agency library. Now, Flow can generate those exact characters wearing those exact outfits across multiple aspect ratios simultaneously.
Which is a massive time saver.
Oh, massive. With one click, it renders the 16.9 widescreen version for YouTube, the 9.16 vertical version for TikTok, the 1.1 square for Instagram, and the 3.4 for display ads. It builds an entire multi-platform asset package in seconds.
The interface paradigm shift here is the Add Ingredient button.
I love this feature.
When an agency producer is writing the prompt for a new scene, they aren't just typing words like a boy and an old woman. They literally click Add Ingredient and drag and drop the locked 3D assets of those specific characters right into the text bar. The prompt becomes a hybrid equation of text instructions and locked visual data.
It is drag and drop casting. So in the Cadbury example, the producer prompts the scene. The child snaps a piece of chocolate and offers it to the neighbor. Because they drop those two character ingredients into the prompt, the AI perfectly casts those exact people into the scene.
It handles the physics.
Right. The ambient sunlight reacts correctly to the child's freckles. The knitted cardigan moves naturally as the neighbor reaches out.
And let's not overlook the magnitude of voice consistency here. Previously, if you generated AI dialogue, the voice would modulate and drift over time.
Yeah, they sound totally different by the end of the video.
Exactly. A character might sound slightly deeper or faster in scene 10 than they did in scene 1. In Flow, once a voice is assigned to a character asset, the vocal timbre is permanently locked. The resonance, the pitch, the cadence. It remains perfectly static across the entire project and even across future projects using that same character.
The sources gave a brilliant example of this from a Portuguese creator named Rob Bolivar. He manually created a rugged Viking character in the Characters tab. First, he generated this epic cinematic advertisement of the Viking wearing AirPods looking super intense in a snowy landscape.
Okay.
Then, using that exact same locked character, he drops him into a completely different environment, sitting at a tiny bar drinking a Brazilian beer. The character's facial structure, scars, and beard are flawlessly consistent.
The visual consistency is impressive, but the language correction demonstrated in that workflow is a technical marvel.
Yes. So initially, the Viking speaks English in the video. He says, I seek the Valhalla. But Rob is building this campaign for a Brazilian audience. Instead of having to re-record audio, map a new voice clone, or start the video generation over, he just types a simple edit command.
He speaks Brazilian Portuguese.
Exactly. He speaks Brazilian Portuguese. Omni seamlessly regenerates the audio to say, Qual é o caminho? In the exact same rugged Viking voice. But more importantly, it regenerates the lip sync to perfectly match the Portuguese vowels.
Think about the computational acrobatics required for that single edit.
It's staggering.
The model must understand the linguistic intent of the translation. It must generate new audio using the locked character's specific vocal tone. Finally, it has to dive back into the video file, isolate the 3D geometry of the character's mouth, and reanimate it to physically match the phonetic shapes of Brazilian Portuguese, all without disturbing the lighting or the rest of the face.
If I can use an analogy, the Characters tab is basically a digital green room. Your AI actors are just hanging out back there, drinking digital coffee, until you call them to the set for the next scene.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize it. You are building a stable of proprietary talent that exists permanently within your workspace.
But once you have your digital actors and your locked scenes, Flow takes it a step further by allowing you to automate your entire post-production process. This brings us to the Tools tab and automation.
Right. Flow isn't just a timeline for cutting clips together.
No, it has a dedicated section containing incredibly powerful pre-built workflows designed by Google.
These pre-built tools serve as shortcuts for complex technical processes. You have Simple Sketch, which formalizes that sketch-to-reality process we discussed earlier. You have Mask Magic, which allows for precise inpainting, meaning you can draw a box around an object in a video and ask the AI to replace only that object.
And then you have Scene Explorer.
Which is incredible.
Scene Explorer blew my mind. You type in a general location. The example from the tutorials was 1980s Taj Mahal. Instead of just giving you one flat picture, it opens a checklist of camera angles. Wide shot, low angle, extreme close-up, high angle.
You select the ones you want.
You select them and hit generate. It returns perfectly cohesive cinematic renders of the 1980s Taj Mahal from those exact angles. It generated the sweeping, drone-style high-angle shot that, in the real world, would require thousands of dollars in permits, a drone crew, and perfect weather to capture.
But the true business implication of the Tools tab, and this is where Flow transitions from a powerful video generator to a comprehensive creative operating system, is the My Tools feature.
Because you can build your own.
Users are not limited to Google's presets. They can build their own custom automated workflows.
Explain how that works in practice, because this feels like it fundamentally changes how agencies operate.
Imagine you run a marketing agency, and you have a client with a very strict brand identity. Let's say their visual aesthetic always demands high contrast, neon lighting with a specific gritty 35mm film grain.
Okay, very specific.
Historically, a prompt engineer would have to meticulously write out that complex paragraph of aesthetic instructions every single time they generated a new asset for that client. In Flow, you build that complex prompt structure exactly once.
And you save it.
You save it as a custom tool, perhaps naming it Client X Neon Style, and you pin it to your agency's dashboard. From that moment on, every future project benefits from a one-click button that perfectly and instantly applies your brand's highly specific aesthetic to any base image or video.
The sources showed an amazing creator example of this. A user built a custom tool called the Style Switcher, designed to convert any realistic image into a beautifully hand-drawn Studio Ghibli anime style.
Just drag and drop.
Yeah. They simply dragged the realistic photo of the child from the Cadbury ad onto the tool, clicked the Style Switcher button, and instantly received a perfect anime version of the kid. The interface even provides a real-time slider so you can swipe back and forth to compare the photorealistic original with the new anime render.
The implications for workflow efficiency and cost reduction are staggering.
But this brings up a very real concern for the people working in this industry today. If an agency can just create a custom perfect YouTube thumbnail tool or a one-click product mockup tool that instantly places a client's logo onto a 3D rendering of a coffee cup, doesn't this essentially put traditional repetitive template work out of business?
That's a valid fear.
If a freelance designer used to charge $500 to build a 3D product mockup over 2 days, and now the client has a button that does it in 4 seconds, where does that leave the human creator?
That is the most pressing economic question of this technological wave. We are witnessing the rapid commoditization of execution. The premium is no longer placed on the manual labor of reproducing a known aesthetic or executing a repetitive technical task.
Is that what's valuable?
The premium is shifting entirely to original ideation and strategy. The human creator remains valuable because they must decide which tool to build in the first place, why a specific aesthetic resonates with the cultural zeitgeist, and what underlying story needs to be told to move a specific demographic.
The value of executing the task is dropping to near zero, but the value of strategic, empathetic creativity is skyrocketing.
Exactly. The execution becomes free, so the idea becomes everything.
But having all these incredible tools and custom workflows is totally useless if you don't know the language that Omni actually speaks. You have to know how to talk to the engine to get what you want. Thankfully, the developers essentially leaked their own instruction manual. Let's jump into the masterclass DeepMind's Omni Prompting Guide.
For anyone looking to actually integrate this technology into their daily work, this prompting guide is the most valuable piece of information available. Google DeepMind released the official structural logic detailing exactly how Omni parses and weights human language.
They broke the perfect prompt down into 5 core building blocks. I love how methodical this is. Block 1, shot framing in motion. You have to explicitly tell the model if it's a wide angle, an extreme close-up, a slow tracking shot, or a fast pan.
Block 2, style. Block 3, lighting. Block 4, location. And block 5, action.
What is fascinating is the DeepMind philosophy within those specific blocks. It is highly counterintuitive to how people have been trained to prompt older AI models. Let's look at block 2, style. Their official advice is, do not over-engineer it.
Right, because users have developed a habit of writing paragraph-long descriptions of obsolete film stocks, specific lens aberrations, and exhaustive color palettes.
Shot on Ari Alexa, 35mm, highly detailed 4K octane render.
Yes, all that jargon. DeepMind states that you should simply name the overarching effect, cinematic, watercolor, gritty 70s sci-fi, and let the model's vast training data extrapolate the underlying details.
Because if you over-describe the style, you confuse the model's natural semantic associations. But then they say the exact opposite for block 3, lighting.
Lighting is crucial.
According to the guide, lighting is the unsung hero of cinematic AI generation, specifying the exact source of the light-like saying, illuminated by an off-screen street lamp to the left, and describing the feeling of the light crisp, ethereal, or warm, completely changes the emotional resonance and physical realism of the entire output.
This circles back to our earlier discussion about Omni functioning as a physics simulation. Lighting dictates the physics of the scene.
It casts the shadows.
The model needs to mathematically calculate where to cast those shadows, how the materials should reflect the environment, and how the light scatters. By providing precise lighting instructions, you are giving the physics engine the critical data it needs to render a believable reality.
And regarding block 4, location, their advice returns to Resprit. Do not over-describe every single bump in the wall or leaf on the tree. If you write an alien landscape with clear azure water, you should allow Omni's spatial reasoning engine to fill in the appropriate geology and atmosphere.
The guide also showcases a technique they call iterative directing, and seeing it in action is mind-blowing.
The butterfly.
There's a video of a young boy looking closely at a butterfly resting on a flower. The user types a simple command to Omni: change the butterfly to a bee.
The video perfectly updates, and what's amazing is that the boy's eyeline remains perfectly fixed on the new insect.
Then they type, change the bee to a swarm of glowing fireflies. Suddenly, the boy is looking at a dynamic, glowing swarm, and the light from the fireflies reflects accurately on his face.
The precision of the semantic targeting is what makes iterative directing possible. The AI is not redrawing the boy or the flower. It identifies the specific object requested, isolates its semantic boundary, replaces it, and recalculates its immediate interaction with the surrounding environment.
And this granular control extends to the virtual camera itself. They showed a beautifully lit video of a violinist passionately playing their instrument from a front-facing angle.
Right.
The prompt was simply, change the camera angle to be over the violinist's shoulder. The AI literally rotates the virtual camera within the 3D space of its internal simulation to completely reframe the shot from behind, showing the back of the violinist and the audience in front of them. The performance never skips a beat.
But my absolute favorite demonstration of this was the complex action reference, the skateboarder.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yes, they took a standard, mundane video of a skateboarder rolling down a regular suburban street. The prompt said, edit this, keeping everything the same, but add animated motion effects coming out of the wheels.
Instantly, the video updates.
And as the skater rolls forward, the wheels leave a perfect 80s-style, hand-drawn, animated trail of neon fire and smoke behind him.
The model demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of cause and effect there. It identifies the wheels as the point of origin for the requested visual effect, and it maps the temporal generation of that fire and smoke directly to the speed and physical trajectory of the skateboard.
Okay, we've broken down the 5 blocks in the philosophy, but our sources revealed a secret trick, the ultimate masterclass hack for prompting Omni.
And this is the best part, honestly.
You don't actually have to memorize these 5 blocks or become a prompting expert. You simply take the URL for the entire Google DeepMind prompting guide and you feed it to Claude, which is a completely different AI model built by Anthropic.
Right.
You ask Claude to read the guide, internalize the rules, and then you use Claude's memory feature to create a permanent skill. You give Claude a strict directive. From now on, whenever I ask you for a video idea, you must write an Omni-optimized prompt using this exact 5-block logic.
It is a brilliant, highly elegant workflow optimization. You are essentially building a bespoke translation layer between human intent and machine architecture.
The source tutorial showed a user who just typed the words "twinkle, twinkle, little star" into Claude. Because Claude was utilizing that new DeepMind skill, it didn't just spit out a generic summary, it output a massive, perfectly structured Omni prompt.
Hitting all 5 blocks.
Yes, it included precise framing instructions for a celestial camera movement, lighting directives for ethereal starlight, and text rendering cues to make the lyrics appear naturally in the sky, all perfectly tailored to Google's own internal logic. You just copy that massive prompt, paste it into Gemini, turn on extended thinking for the cleanest output, and let it run.
The irony of this workflow is quite beautiful. We are utilizing one highly advanced large language model to expertly manipulate the latent space of another multimodal generation model.
I really have to marvel at that. We are literally using one AI as a fluent translator to perfectly manipulate another AI. We are just sitting back, typing a 4-word nursery rhyme, and watching these two massive neural networks talk to each other to make us a fully rendered movie.
It perfectly highlights the modularity of the modern AI ecosystem. No single tool has to execute every task perfectly. You chain the unique strengths of different models together, Claude for logical structuring, Omni for multimodal synthesis, to achieve an optimized final result.
As we wrap up this deep dive, we have to pull back from the magic tricks and look at the reality of the tech. What are the guardrails? What are the current limitations? And what is the real-world timeline for all this immense power?
Safety is a big one.
That brings us to safety, watermarks, and what our sources call the expensive gap. Google didn't just quietly dump this model onto the internet. OmniFlash was developed with incredibly heavy internal safety evaluations.
Yes, the technical documentation outlines an extensive period of both automated and human red teaming. For listeners unfamiliar with the term, red teaming involves security specialists deliberately acting as bad actors.
Like trying to break into a bank to test the vault.
Exactly. They spend months trying to break the model, bypass its safety policies, and force it to generate prohibited, violent, or deceptive content. The goal is to identify and patch those vulnerabilities before the tool is released to the public.
And there's a massive push for transparency on the output side as well. All the content generated by Omni, whether you make it in the casual Gemini app or the professional Google Flow Studio, receives an imperceptible synthite digital watermark.
It also includes C2PA content credentials. Essentially, it embeds a permanent digital fingerprint into the file, verifying its AI origin.
And Google announced this fingerprint will soon be visible directly via Chrome browsers and Google search results.
Which is an absolutely necessary step for maintaining information integrity. As the visual fidelity of these models rapidly approaches indistinguishable photorealism, society must have technical mechanisms to verify provenance.
Speaking of fidelity, there is one current technical limitation. The video output for Omni is currently capped at 720p resolution. But all the creator sources we reviewed pointed out something really interesting. Despite mathematically being 720p, the generations look incredibly cinematic and polished.
It doesn't look cheap.
No, it doesn't feel like watching a low-quality, pixelated YouTube video from 2008. It looks like a stylistic, high-end film.
Resolution is frequently conflated with visual quality, but they are not the same thing. A 720p image that features excellent simulated lighting, accurate depth of field, and perfect color grading will always look dramatically more cinematic and pleasing to the human eye than a flat, poorly lit, uninspired video shot in crisp 4K resolution.
But here is the real takeaway for you listening today, according to our sources. The technology is here right now. It is largely free, or at least easily accessible with a basic pro account.
The critical insight isn't just marveling at the tech itself, it's recognizing the adoption curve.
One of the creators we studied phrased it perfectly. The gap between the people who open this tool and start experimenting in week 1 versus the people who wait 6 months to try it because they think it's a fad will be the most expensive gap in the AI industry this year.
I completely agree with that assessment. The competitive advantage in media and business is no longer gatekept by access to capital. You no longer need a massive budget to hire a production crew and rent locations.
The playing field is leveling.
The advantage has shifted entirely to the early adopters who master the interface, understand the prompting logic, and build their custom workflows today.
Just remind yourself of the staggering possibilities we've unpacked today. You can have your dog, your child, and yourself star in an epic, fully voiced, perfectly consistent movie. If you run a small business, you can create a flawless, highly branded commercial entirely from your browser, matching a 6-shot storyboard exactly without spending a dime on camera gear.
It's revolutionary.
But I have to ask you one final question about the audience's perception. With SynthEye and these watermarks proving a video is AI, are we entering an era where we actually might prefer AI content? If an ad or a movie is so perfectly tailored, brilliantly lit, and highly creative, as long as it's transparently labeled, will audiences eventually stop caring that a physical camera didn't shoot it?
I suspect we will see a permanent bifurcation in media. There will always be a high premium placed on capturing unscripted, genuine human reality journalism, live sports, raw documentary footage.
We'll always need that.
But for narrative entertainment, marketing, and educational content, the audience's primary concern has always been, is this engaging? Is this beautiful? Does this move me or tell a good story? If the AI tool provides a superior, more imaginative narrative experience, the technical mechanism of its creation will become entirely secondary to the consumer.
That is a profound shift in how we value art. Okay, let's bring it all home. We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
We started by understanding Omni's physics engine and how it acts as a digital sculptor, simulating reality rather than just predicting pixels. We explored the multimodal syncing of audio, text, and referenced motion.
The whale.
The whale. We walked through how to build perfectly consistent worlds and characters using the agent workflow inside Google Flow. We broke down the paradigm shift of the add ingredient button, and we looked at how to master the 5 core prompting blocks using the Claude translation hack.
It is a comprehensive toolkit that represents the dawn of a new era in media production.
And for you listening, here is why you need to care. Whether you are a content creator who wants sweeping, cinematic drone shots without buying any gear, or a small business owner who desperately needs a high-end commercial but has zero budget, the window of opportunity is wide open today.
Don't wait.
Don't just listen to us talk about it. As soon as this finishes, open a browser tab, log into Gemini or Google Flow, and build a 30-second clip tonight. Play with the digital clay. Do not find yourself on the wrong side of the expensive gap.
Knowledge is only truly valuable when it is actively applied. The sandbox is officially open.
But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over. We spend a lot of time talking about how you can train a permanent AI agent inside Google Flow to replicate your exact creative style, your exact lighting preferences, and your exact casting choices, all triggered with a single click.
It's all automated.
If you can automate your own aesthetic, what does the role of a director actually look like 5 years from now? Are we directing cameras and actors on a set, or are we just directing algorithms to dream our visions for us while we watch?
It's a question that redefines the very nature of authorship in the 21st century.
Stay curious, everyone. Keep exploring, keep building, and keep diving deep into the technology that is shaping our world. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.